I know, videos on Troll do not get watched on this channel. Troll is up yet again 40% today. The question is, how much higher can it go? Let's have a look one more time at the on-chain data, because where did you hear first about Troll? Of course, over here. We are now at almost 23 cents. The price went up by almost 300% in the last week alone. And the first video about Troll on this channel was published 12 days ago. But here we go. When a token is small and not yet that popular, it tends to reach a smaller audience. The YouTube algorithm is not efficient at recommending videos of small little gems. Here's another update video published 3 days ago. Again, an underperformer in terms of views. And that's a fundamental problem of running a YouTube channel. When a token is already very popular, when it does have an audience, it tends to generate a lot of clicks. When a token isn't yet that popular, the videos tend to rather bomb. And so this will be an interesting indicator to see at what point in time will actually Troll become an outperforming video in terms of views. The average video is here, this area in gray, and that last Troll video is the line in blue. Once the blue line is above the gray line, it might make sense to take some profit. But yeah, when the first video was published, we were at 3.7 cents. And here we are today, close to 23. So if you want to be early next time, feel free to subscribe over here. I publish videos on various cryptocurrencies regularly. Now, all of crypto went up recently, but there are outperformers. And Troll has been launched on the Pump.fun ecosystem. So that's the launchpad of meme coins on Solana. And even within that ecosystem, Troll is an outlier. It's now the third largest token in terms of market cap. It's got 219 million and it performed more than 1,000% in the last 30 days. Just compare this with similar tokens during the same time frame. The largest token, Coin, tended to underperform. And that's in general a trend that we tend to see. The larger a meme coin, the worse it does, because the upside simply isn't there anymore. Coin, by the way, is still a 5x from here, relatively speaking, right? So if Troll was to become number one, it could reach more than $1 per token. Now, what needs to happen for Troll to reach $1? I think it's centralized exchange adoption, because right now most of price discovery, most of trading volume still happens on chain. Have a look at this. There was 19 million worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours on Pump.fun. So that's the leading decentralized exchange on the Solana chain for those tokens. And the perpetual futures are barely active. There is MEXC with 3 million of trading volume in the last 24 hours. But that's way lower than what we see on the spot market. Everything is happening on chain. And Troll is not just the third largest Pump.fun ecosystem token, it's also the third largest trending token when we look at the liquidity pool size on Solana. Number one is again Coin with 23 million of liquidity. Number two is the Pump token itself. And number three is Troll. Again, giving us a potential upside of 3 to 4x in the best case. This rally still is not driven by the small retail investor. It's driven by the whales accumulating more and more of the token. And we can see this over here. Have a look at the number of buyers versus sellers. Yes, there are a few more buyers than sellers. It's 52% versus 48%. But that small imbalance does not justify a price appreciation of 41%. So the buyers tend to move much more capital than the sellers do. And so on chain, on Solana, we've got now 41,000 wallets that hold at least a small piece of Troll. What we're seeing over here is the number of first-time traders versus recurring traders over time. So that's on the left. On the right side, we see the number of token transactions over time. It seems like there was a peak 3 to 4 days ago on the 5th of August. We can ignore the latest data point because today isn't yet over, but there isn't really much growth yesterday and the day before yesterday, at least in the number of wallets. Of course, there was growth in the price. The trading volume, though, did not go down as much. So on the left side, it's measured in US dollars. On the right side, it's normalized to 100% to see the segregation. The volume is close to 20 million, and we can see that over time, the larger investors take over more and more of the trading volume. Another indication that it's the heavyweights, that it's the large pockets that are now accumulating Troll. Probably again in anticipation of more centralized exchange involvement. What's interesting is that the number of whales actually did not go up. So you see here on the left is the number of retail investors, so the number of wallets that have at least 4,000 tokens. In the middle it's 40,000 tokens, on the right it's 400,000 tokens. So that equates roughly to $1,000, $10,000 and $100,000. And even though we see more and more trading volume by those larger entities, the number of such entities is not going up. And so this is the solution to the puzzle. This is the overall token supply, so 100%, and it splits up who owns the supply. Is this small retail, so the roughly $1,000? Is it medium-sized retail up to 10,000, large retail up to 100,000, or the whales that have even more than $100,000 worth of the token? We can see how the number of whales did not go up, but the percentage that's held of all of the tokens that's held by the whales, it's clearly going up. It's currently at 72%. And again, I believe this is in anticipation of more involvement by the centralized exchanges. The smart money is getting in. And this is in general how I see crypto, right? It's both a game of luck and skill. And the people that have more skill, they tend to accumulate more and more capital over the long term. So when the whales are buying, this is a positive sign. Usually the purchases end once we are at 90 to 95%, but there's still some more room to grow. As long as the whales are buying, the price is likely going to continue to rise up until a point, of course. 1 billion in market cap is probably the upper ceiling, but a doubling from here is definitely still on the cards. Troll can become the second largest token in the Pump.fun ecosystem. There's no question about that. The general problem with crypto as a whole is that there's more and more token emissions. So a lot of projects launch and the founders want to pay themselves. The early investors, the venture capitalists want to pay themselves. Maybe there was also some marketing expenses. So some YouTubers might get an allocation and then sell the token. And the retail investors have to support all of that selling for the prices to stay stable. This here is the weekly token emissions of the entire altcoin market that's tracked on this website, Tokenomics.ai. And it's pretty much above 600 or at least $500 million every single week. If the inflows into crypto are slower than that, then the altcoins have to go down, at least relatively speaking. For example, have a look at this here. This is the DeFi protocol 1inch. So it's a decentralized exchange aggregator. It got a lot of usage in the past. But the problem is that the circulating supply grew massively as well, right? From 100 million to now 1.4 billion. And that then leads to 1inch doing much worse than Bitcoin or Ethereum. This is 1inch relative to Ethereum. Have a look at this. This is Optimism, right? A leading layer 2 scaling solution on top of Ethereum. It started out with 214 million tokens and it's now at 1.6 billion tokens. And that's the long-term chart relative to Ethereum. And so there are several consequences from this, right? We cannot afford to own a lot of different altcoins because the vast majority of altcoins underperforms Bitcoin and Ethereum most of the time because of that token inflation. But also picking a single winner here and there is very hard because, again, most tokens do worse. So it's like picking the needle in a haystack. Some people simply just stick with Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana then and forget the rest of the altcoin market. But I actually think there's an opportunity here because if we have constant underperformance, we can bet on that. We can bet on the underperformance to continue and make money from that. So instead of getting this performance by buying 1inch, we flip this around. We bet on falling prices of 1inch and bet on rising prices of Ethereum at the same time. So this is the same chart, just flipped. And this is simply using decentralized finance to do exactly that setup. We are betting on Ethereum to outperform 1inch. Same here for Optimism, right? Instead of buying Optimism, we are just betting on falling prices of Optimism relative to Ethereum. So in the last year, that position performed 150% roughly. Now try to make 150% in a year just by plain simply buying an altcoin. It's much easier said than done. Yes, there are some outliers. There is this Aerobot and this DRGN and this SNSY token, but the vast majority of altcoins is just going down. And so instead of trying to find the next arrow butt, I think it's better to just flip this around and everything that's red becomes green and everything that's green becomes red. So then we've got the odds in our favor. We don't try to pick the needle in the haystack. Instead, we bet on the haystack, on the vast majority, to do poorly. And again, there is a fundamental reason for that underperformance, right? It's all of those insiders selling all the time. The venture capitalists, the team, etc. Maybe even the users of the platform that get incentivized in tokens to use the platform. Have a look at the altcoin market cap relative to Bitcoin in the last 3.5 years. It underperformed by 75%. And if you flip that around, we've got an outperformance of almost 300%. So this is now Bitcoin divided by the altcoin market cap. I'm following this strategy already for quite a while. What we see over here is my portfolio performance in the last 4 years roughly relative to had I just dollar cost average into Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin dollar cost averaging is in gray and my portfolio line is that one in black. This is monthly data out of my personal Excel sheet. We're now at month 44. I did this mainly with borrowing in lending platforms like Aave and Venus Finance. But recently I changed to perpetual futures and this is even more productive. I started the test 2.5 months ago with 40k and that turned into 60k again just in 2.5 months. And so the premium members of this channel asked me, is there maybe a way we can just provide some capital to you and you do those relative valuation trades for us? And so I opened just that. It started 6 days ago, so there's no real sample size yet, but so far it has made 3.5%. I'm happy if we do 10% per month. I don't think we'll make 50% in 2.5 months again. But in general, we are moving in the right direction. And again, it makes a lot of sense, right? Most altcoins do worse than Bitcoin or Ethereum. We don't really have to be that scientific about it. If you want to learn how to become a winner in crypto and how to set up those relative valuation trades, where then the VCs and the insiders don't dump on you, but you're actually making money when they are dumping, then feel free to check out all of those tutorial videos, right? There's more than 100 tutorial videos in premium. I'm of course sharing my own trades as well, and then you can simply copy trade and take advantage of those trades as well. There are many opportunities out there, so feel free to check out the community as well. And so if you're an active trader, you can simply sign up for the monthly membership. It's $125 per month. You can watch all the tutorials, you can copy trade me as well. And once you're joining, I will also share my favorite trade. And if that favorite trade doesn't make you money in the first month, I will refund you 100% of that membership fee. So really, you don't really have a risk of joining here. You're either making your money back or it's for free for you. If you are not an active trader though, and you simply just want to allocate capital, you've got more capital than time, then you can sign up for the annual membership. Here you also get 2 months for free, so $250. And with the annual membership, you also get access to the automated copy trading feature, where you can simply just send money to Hyperliquid. So that's the platform that I'm using. And you get the exact same trading performance that I'm getting as well. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.